What if the most powerful anti-aging treatment in the world costs you absolutely nothing, requires no prescription, and takes less than 30 minutes a day? Scientists at Harvard Medical School just confirmed something that cardiologists, gerontologists, and longevity researchers have suspected for decades. And the results were so dramatic, they were published across multiple peer-reviewed journals. Most seniors are told to manage their blood pressure, watch their cholesterol, and take their medications. Those things matter. But there is one specific daily habit that Harvard researchers discovered could add anywhere from 7 to 10 years to your biological lifespan. Not your calendar age, your actual biological age. And the overwhelming majority of people over 60 are either not doing it at all, or they are doing it in a way that fails to trigger the benefits that matter most. I'm Dr. Sarah Mitchell, and this channel exists for one reason: to bring you the most current, evidence-based health information designed specifically for people over 60. If you haven't subscribed yet, hit that button now so you don't miss the research your doctor may not have time to explain during a 15-minute appointment. Now let me tell you exactly what Harvard found. The habit is daily walking. But not just any walking and not just any amount. Harvard researchers identified something very specific about how, when, and how much seniors need to walk to trigger the biological changes that actually slow aging at the cellular level. Here is what makes this finding extraordinary. In 2019, a research team from Harvard-affiliated Brigham and Women's Hospital published a landmark study in JAMA Internal Medicine, examining the daily step counts and mortality rates of over 16,000 women between the ages of 60 and 80. What they found stunned even the researchers running the study. Women who averaged just 4,400 steps per day were 41% less likely to die during the study period compared to those averaging only 2,700 steps. The benefits kept climbing with more steps, ultimately plateauing around 7,500 steps per day. That is roughly 3 to 3.5 miles. For most seniors, that translates to about 30 to 35 minutes of continuous walking. One daily habit: a 41% reduction in all-cause mortality. Let me stop and let that sit for just a moment. Not a 10% improvement, not a 15% reduction. 41% lower risk of dying from a 30-minute walk. I want you to think about your own activity level right now. If you had to estimate, how many steps do you take on an average day? Comment your best guess below. We're going to see what seniors across this community are actually experiencing. Now, the step count data is compelling on its own, but Harvard's research goes deeper than that, and what they found at the cellular level is what actually explains those extra years. Here is the science in plain language. Every cell in your body contains chromosomes, and at the tips of those chromosomes are structures called telomeres. Think of telomeres like the plastic tips on the ends of shoelaces. They protect the chromosome from fraying and damage. Every time a cell divides, those telomere caps get a little shorter. When they become too short, the cell can no longer divide properly. It becomes what scientists call a senescent cell, basically a cell that does not die but also stops functioning normally. This is what we call biological aging at its most fundamental level. Here is where the Harvard walking research connects directly to that process. A major study from Harvard Medical School researchers found that adults with high levels of regular physical activity had telomeres that were biologically 9 years younger than those of sedentary adults. Not 9 months, 9 full years. People who moved consistently every day had the cellular biology of someone almost a decade younger than their calendar age suggested. And that is exactly how we arrive at the 10-year longevity claim. Combined data from the Harvard Alumni Health Study, which has been tracking over 17,000 participants since the 1960s, shows that seniors who engage in consistent, moderate aerobic activity live an average of 6.9 to 10.4 years longer than their completely sedentary counterparts. Those numbers hold up even after researchers controlled for weight, smoking history, diet quality, and pre-existing medical conditions. Frank was a 71-year-old retired school principal from Ohio who sat in his cardiologist's office 2 years ago and heard something he was not expecting. His resting heart rate was concerning. His inflammation markers were elevated. His blood pressure was creeping upward despite already being on 2 medications, with a third being considered. Frank had always assumed he had exercised enough during his working years, that retirement was his earned time to rest. His doctor suggested nothing complicated, just 30 minutes of walking every day. Frank was skeptical. Walking seemed too simple to actually work. He started anyway because the alternative was more pills. Within 8 weeks, his resting heart rate dropped 11 beats per minute. After 6 months, his doctor removed one blood pressure medication entirely. At his 1-year follow-up, Frank's inflammation markers had returned to the normal range. He told his doctor, "I thought you were giving me the easy way out. Turns out, it was the hard way in." But here is what stunned me most when I studied this research carefully. It is not just heart health and longevity where walking delivers dramatic benefits for seniors. The brain benefits may be even more significant. A 2020 study published in JAMA Neurology, conducted through the Rush Alzheimer's Disease Center with research ties to Harvard Medical School, followed over 1,400 adults for nearly 20 years. Seniors who walked at least 30 minutes daily were 50% less likely to develop Alzheimer's disease compared to sedentary counterparts. The mechanism here is something called BDNF, or brain-derived neurotrophic factor. Think of BDNF as fertilizer for your brain cells. Walking at a brisk pace dramatically increases BDNF production. It promotes the growth of new neurons, strengthens connections between existing ones, and specifically protects the hippocampus, the brain region responsible for memory and learning. With age, the hippocampus naturally shrinks. Regular walkers maintain hippocampal volume. The protection is that direct. Have you noticed any changes in your memory, mental sharpness, or mood during periods when you have been less physically active? Comment yes or no below. You are helping build a real picture of what seniors in this community are experiencing firsthand. Now, I want to address something I hear constantly. "Dr. Mitchell, I have knee pain," or "My hips give me trouble," or "I was told I have arthritis. Won't walking make it worse?" The research flips this assumption entirely. A major analysis published in the Annals of Internal Medicine found that for adults with osteoarthritis, the most common joint condition among seniors, regular walking significantly reduced pain and improved physical function more effectively than rest. The cartilage in your joints has no direct blood supply. It gets its nutrients from the synovial fluid surrounding it, and that fluid only circulates when you move. Staying still starves your cartilage. Walking feeds it. This does not mean pushing through sharp pain or ignoring injuries. It means that gentle, consistent movement is almost always better than rest for the joints seniors worry about most. Before I give you the exact protocol, I need to share something important about pace, because getting this wrong is the single most common reason seniors do not see the results they deserve. Margaret was 68, and she came to me frustrated after 2 months of walking 3 times a week. She felt almost no difference and was ready to quit. When I looked at her routine, the problem was immediately clear. She was walking at what she described as a comfortable pace. The research is specific on this point. You need to reach what exercise scientists call moderate intensity. You should feel slightly warm and slightly breathless, but still able to speak in full sentences. If you can comfortably sing while walking, you are moving too slowly to trigger the biological responses tied to longevity. Margaret adjusted her pace, added 10 minutes daily, and made it a 7-day habit. Within 6 weeks, her energy had transformed. Within 4 months, her doctor cut her statin dose in half. Now here is the piece of this protocol that most people get completely wrong, and correcting it can double your metabolic results. Harvard exercise physiologists found that breaking your 30 minutes into 2 15-minute sessions, one in the morning and one in the evening, produces better blood sugar regulation and more sustained cardiovascular benefit than a single continuous session. The blood sugar reduction from walking has a limited window of effect. 2 sessions extends that window across more of the day, giving your body more time operating with optimal glucose levels. If your schedule only allows one session is absolutely still valuable and worth doing. But if you can split it, the evidence strongly supports that approach. Here is exactly what the research supports and what I recommend. Start with 20 minutes of continuous walking at a brisk but sustainable pace every single day, not 5 days a week. Daily repetition maintains the anti-inflammatory and cardiovascular benefits without the reset that longer gaps allow. After 2 weeks at 20 minutes, increase to 25. 2 weeks after that, push to 30. This gradual approach prevents joint overload and dramatically reduces injury risk. Wear supportive walking shoes with adequate cushioning. Research from Harvard Medical School's Spaulding Rehabilitation Network found that proper footwear reduces impact on knees, hips, and lower back by up to 40%. Look for a heel drop between 8 and 12 millimeters and a cushioned midsole. Brands like New Balance, Brooks, and Asics all make excellent options for seniors, typically in the $80 to $130 range, and they are available at most sporting goods stores and online. Walk outdoors when possible. Natural light exposure during morning walks regulates your circadian rhythm, improves sleep quality, and boosts vitamin D synthesis, all of which compound the longevity benefits you are working toward. If weather prevents outdoor walking, a treadmill set to a 1 to 2% incline closely mimics outdoor walking mechanics. Drink 8 ounces of water before your walk. Dehydration meaningfully reduces the cardiovascular and cognitive benefits of your session. If you are currently taking blood thinners, have a history of congestive heart failure, or have been specifically advised by your physician to restrict physical activity, please consult your doctor before significantly increasing your walking routine. Most seniors with managed chronic conditions can walk safely, but your physician should confirm that for your specific circumstances. Watch for chest tightness, unusual shortness of breath, or dizziness during walks, and stop immediately if any of those symptoms arise. Measurable improvements in blood pressure and resting heart rate typically appear within 4 to 8 weeks of consistent daily walking. Sleep quality improvements often arrive within 2 to 3 weeks. The deeper cellular and inflammatory changes take 3 to 6 months to fully register on lab work. Give this habit the time it deserves before evaluating its full impact. Here is what all of this comes down to. Harvard's decades of research, conducted across tens of thousands of participants, confirms what the human body has always been designed for: daily movement. Not intense exercise, not expensive gym memberships. 30 minutes of walking every single day at a pace that challenges you slightly produces biological changes that can add close to a decade of healthy, functional life. That is not a small thing. That is everything. I want to hear from you right now. Comment, "Starting today," if you are committing to 30 minutes of daily walking after watching this. Comment your current daily step count if you already track it, so we can see where our community is beginning from. Or comment a question about walking and joint health, and I will personally answer the most common ones in the comments this week. If this video helped you, please subscribe to this channel so you do not miss next week's video, where I'm going to walk you through the 3 specific foods Harvard researchers identified that seniors should remove before their next blood panel, because they silently elevate cardiovascular risk in ways that standard cholesterol tests fail to detect. That information could genuinely change what you eat starting tomorrow. I'm Dr. Sarah Mitchell. Keep moving, keep learning, and take care of yourselves.